had a stressful day, anxiety day, brought on by me and my thoughts. As always, anxiety literally comes from the mind, and it was affecting my body, which was confusing because then I felt like it was coming from my body. So I take myself to Red Rock. I'm not far from the road, even though I wish I was further. And I look at the mountains and the colors of the desert. I love coming into the desert because I feel like it opens your eyes to the subtleties of life. Because from a distance, the desert just looks barren and brown, like from the sky. The desert just looks brown. But the closer and closer you get, it's where you're choosing to look, right? The more colorful it is, and the subtler little growth. It's like little growths. Like, look at this small growth. And just little tiny specks of life. And yes, it is not in the most abundance of spaces, but yet there is abundance here. There's abundance in rocks. There's an abundance in dirt. Where else do you see so much broken up mountain, broken up earth in one space? And it's almost like the desert puts it on display, like the things that the forest will cover, or the forest will turn into, not downplaying the forest is beautiful, and the ocean and more moisture-rich places. But the desert is like, we're not hiding. We are here. We are earth. This is earth. This is hard. This is not very beautiful all the time. Not very pretty. Not very aesthetically pleasing all the time. But it's earth. And we are here. And right now I just feel like there's so much happening in our world. And within humanity, there's people right behind me taking a photo. There's just so much hate and there's so much suffering. I mean, I live downtown Las Vegas and I'm just confronted with it every single day, just the suffering. And I get anxiety and cry over a flooring job that didn't get done in my home that I own. Well, the bank owns it, but it's in my name. So, it's just, but you have to validate yourself, right? Your experience is your experience. You've never lived in a third world. I'm talking to myself, but I've never lived in a third world country. I've never lived and experienced such hardship that other people do such suffering. I've never been on the streets, and I've never not known where my next meal is going to come from, or how I'm going to purchase my next meal, or if I'm going to eat today. I've never experienced that, right? So within my experience bubble, my suffering and the things that I experience in my experience bubble can bring up the same feeling as somebody whose bubble is bigger. And it's not to say that their bubble is bigger and more validated, and it's not to say that you are being a baby for feeling big emotions within your little bubble of experience. But, and comparison, right? Like, I found myself in that today, comparing myself to the people of Israel and the people in war. And gosh, Briella, why are you feeling this way? There's people literally dying. And then you get stuck in a comparison loop, right? Which doesn't help anyone. Because then I got into a freeze mode where I felt like I couldn't do anything. Literally anything. So comparison isn't good either, right? You just have to be gentle. And it all comes back to gentleness. It all comes back to acceptance, to non-labeling, to not overthinking, which is just so easy. Not easy, right? It's hard, it's exhausting, but it's so habitual to do. Just thinking, overthinking. And you have to remember that when you're experiencing a problem, it is 99.9999%. It's probably always 100% coming from your mind. So why would you solve a mental problem with your mind? And I think this guy on Instagram said that, but like Cameron Rosen or something. But why try and solve a mental problem with your mind? That's like trying to solve a cleanliness problem with more dirt, you know? Instead, go to your body. Instead, shift your focus. And it all comes back to what you're focusing on. And it's also simple. Like the desert appears to be simple, right? The desert appears to be simple. The desert appears to be brown. The desert appears to be one color from the sky. My best friend growing up, her mom used to always say that. She moved from Seattle, so she would say, everybody always used to ask me what Vegas is like, and I would say brown, because that's what it looked like from the sky. And it does. It looks brown from the sky. You can see where your house is. You don't really see many trees. You don't see much life. Definitely don't see this. You definitely don't see this. So what looks simple, or what should be simple, doesn't mean that it doesn't have intricacies within it and little tiny obstacles that are just as important and just as valid. Not important, they're just as valid, but in your mental space you have a choice what to elaborate on. I have a choice what to elaborate on. I can focus on the lack of color here in the desert as I sit here. I could focus on all the browns and all the greens and the lack of trees and the lack of moisture. I could focus on what's lacking, or I could focus on the yellow flowers that really aren't flowers and it's a weed. But I could focus on the color of that. I could focus on the contrast between the yellow and the brown and the different colors of rocks, that they're the same rock but they're all a different shade of gray and tan and red, you know, but they all blend together at the same time, but they stand out. And then I can look in front of me and be literally in awe of these sharp rocks coming out of the earth, and the colors on them, like as if somebody painted through the center the red. And the shape of the clouds, and yeah, there's so much to focus on. My partner got upset with me today, and I think I needed it. Because he was being so patient with me all day, and I just wasn't choosing to change. I was just choosing to stay stagnant in this headspace, but was convincing myself that I was trying. But I wasn't really changing anything on the physical, right? I was staying in my house. I was looking at the same things, and it was super challenging for me to choose to leave. And honestly, something was gifted to me to kind of guide and aid that step. I didn't do it on my own power, you know, but then things are gifted to you. Other people, right? Connections. other people are gifted to you, and things help you, guide you into that headspace, but then it's ultimately your choice, right? So I accepted the gift, and I chose to shift my focus. I haven't been to Red Rock in so long, and I need to get here more. That was all.